Hello there, I'm Heather from Wholehearted Homemaking, and today I wanted to share a little bit about schedules and rhythms. If you've been around the homeschool world any length of time, you know that there are those who are strict schedulers, this subject at this specific time, and you have those who are more rhythm, and it kind of ebbs and flows. So you do one subject and then you do the other subject, regardless of what the clock says. My family tends to fall a little between both. And so today I wanted to share a little bit about how it works for our family. Caveat, just because it works for my family doesn't mean it will work for your family. We have had many different schedules and many different times of life, and this is just the one that has worked the best, the most recently. So I wanted to share what it is, and then I'll go into a little more detail about it. So first we start with our koinonia and breakfast time, followed by a home blessing time, followed by independent work time, and then we have our morning time with a snack, which is followed by another time of finishing up independent subjects. That's followed by lunch and then free time. Hopefully it's outside. That's weather dependent and health dependent. Then we follow that with a quiet time in the afternoon, and after quiet time we have a small snack and do a keeping hour if they have not been able to attend to those subjects earlier in the day. Following that, we do some more free time for the kids. It's usually a work time for mama, then dinner, and then we have free time, depending on what time dinner fell, and free time until bedtime, and then we will read Bible before bed together as a family. So that's the basic gist of the day for my kids. I start a little bit earlier than them. One of the things that really helped me figure out our schedule a few years ago is the Life Giving Motherhood is a wonderful group, and I was part of that for a while, and Min Huang has you as part of that group. One of the things she suggests is making a personal timetable, and that was such a blessing to me because while I knew what tasks I needed to do, I would just kind of, have it in my head or make a list each day, and I hadn't really thought about how I'm spending all those times. So I used her template, which she has over on her blog, and I'll leave a link in the description box. But this making this timetable kind of helped me understand what I'm supposed to be doing when. Because I may know all the things I need to do, but then when you get in the midst of things, you forget. And so I made a personal timetable. This is actually mine from December. I need to update ours since life went insane for our family. We've had a few family crises the last few months, and so things have looked different for us. But this was what I made for December, and I just basically I made a list. Okay, on Mondays I need to do this, and this from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. No times are listed. It's just an order of events, and it's things like, okay, I need to switch the laundry. We're going to have lunch. I put the things that I do with the kids on there. And then also I'm going to do ministry prep during this time. Now, if I look over at my kids' schedule, they're not going to have ministry prep on their schedule. But that's during their quiet time. And so I have that for myself. And I would post this so my husband can see it if he so chooses. Then after that, I took hers and made one for my kids so that they kind of could understand. And it followed the same principle. So that way they know. So this is kind of the rhythm section of our life and our schedule. So they know what I just told you, that we're going to have koinonia, then we're going to have independent time, then we're going to have tea time and morning time, then we're going to do math. And they know all that is the rhythm of it. Then what I don't have on this paper is kind of an internalized schedule because like I said, I do blend those because otherwise I am kind of a chase the butterflies person. I will easily get distracted, especially on beautiful sunshiny days like today. And so I need to mentally know, okay, at this particular time, I need to start this. And the way I trained myself was setting timers on my phone. So we do aim for our koinonia to begin at 8. Now, I will be talking more about that term and what that time looks like for our family next in the next video, hopefully. But just so you know, that's kind of our worship time. And that's when we have breakfast. And so I try to start that at 8 and finish at 8:30. However, it doesn't always happen. We have a nursing baby who doesn't sleep all night, so it doesn't always happen during that time. But that is the goal, is to finish it by 8:30 so that way they can have home blessings and then they'll be done and ready for school at 9 o'clock. And that is the general plan. It ebbs and flows. Today, I wasn't feeling well and slept in later than I meant to, and so we actually did our koinonia much later in the day, but that's okay because it was just a rhythm, so we know what to expect on a typical day. And then for their home blessings, that's cleaning up after breakfast, getting dressed if they haven't done it, making their beds, brushing their teeth, hair, the basic things you need to do in the morning. That's what it looks like for us. So they wake, and we do our quinonia and breakfast, then we have their blessings, then they have independent work time. And this was actually birthed out of my need to get in the garden a couple of years ago. We expanded our garden, we had a lot to do, and the morning hours were just, because we started school in July, I needed to be in the garden when it was the cool of the day and not 100 degrees. And so I made an hour and a half in the morning, roughly, where they did their independent work. And that's where I gave them copywork, which is handwriting, their readings and things like that, recitation, that they could do independently. Now, they might come and do it with me, but they can do it primarily independently. So any work that would fall under that category, and they have a list, they have their own planners of what they can do and what they should do. If they finish their work early, they get free time. So they have until we have snack time or morning time, they have until that time to do whatever they want, which is in itself a motivator to finish their work well and quickly, because if it's not done well, there's going to be a consequence. But and my kids have done very well with this pattern. Then around 10, between 9:30 and 10, depending on when we had breakfast that day, we will have a small snack and do our morning time. A couple days a week, we will do a current events video while they're eating. Other times, we will just start right in on our readings. After morning time, that's when I always try to finish morning time by no later than 11:15, because I have 3 that I need to do math with, and they each need 15 minutes at least of my instruction with that. And so between 11:15 and 12, I try to quickly get through all 3 of them with their lessons. When they're not doing their lesson with me, they either are doing extra math or flashcards or some kind of mental math that they're going to do quickly to practice facts, or they're finishing up anything they didn't finish in the morning, which sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. If not, like my 8-year-old today was finished very early. So during her math time, we did our lesson. The rest of the time was her free time. And that was wonderful because it's beautiful outside and she loves to be outside. Then we have lunch, and I try to do leftovers or sandwiches, something that requires very low prep. And we are eating by 12:30 at the latest, because my kids are starving by then. I don't know, they have hollow legs or something. And so after lunch, we have more free time. And that's when I get kind of my stuff around the house. Now, on a typical day, we try to do an afternoon snack, and then I will read from a fun family read aloud, and they will finish what we call keeping hour. Some of that stuff they do before, because our keeping hour always includes nature journal. If you haven't touched a nature journal today, that's the time to do it. And the other thing is usually maybe a watercolor lesson. Yesterday, I had them do a drawing lesson. Sometimes it's Book of Centuries updates, things like that, journals that they need to update. And that's it. It's not really an hour. They are welcome to sit there for an hour and draw, but it usually is about 15-20 minutes. And so after that, their time is theirs, and that's how the day works. We then have dinner together every night. We are very busy with ministry, and so our dinner time fluctuates because of our ministry requirements and my daughter's music lessons. But we do typically have dinner all together. It's just how we do it. It's not really an option not to. And then if we have time, we'll have free time where they can play, they can read, whichever they want to do. We try to be all done and starting to wind down by 7:30. And part of that's because we have really little kids. When I had only 2, and they were under the age of, really, until she was 8, when I had all the way under 4, they went to bed at 7:30 every night that we weren't at church. So it was an early night. And then as we added kids, we realized we forgot to adjust the bedtime. So we just made the bedtime later, and our little kids were staying up later. So now we've tried to stagger the bedtimes, and it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. But my goal is that we, between 7 and 7:30, are getting ready for bed, brush teeth, put jammies on, and start reading our family Bible story. My husband does a Bible lesson with the kids every night, and it's been really beautiful to see him embrace the Charlotte Mason methods of that. But we do that before bed, and then we have prayer time. We have 7 kids, and they all have a day of the week that they're the person in charge of prayer for that day. Whether it's morning, noon, or night, they're the prayer person. It solved a lot of problems for me. But after we pray, And then they have independent reading time. So my littlest ones get from 7:30 to 8 on an ideal night. This actually rarely happens because we're so fluctual. Everything fluctuates. But from 7:30 to 8, the littlest ones can read. The big kids can still read also, but they go to bed. The littlest ones go to bed at 8. So that would be my 5 and 3-year-old. And then my 1-year-old, when we can get him in bed. He has serious FOMO though. And then by 8:30, my 10 and 8-year-old go to bed. And by 9, my 13 and 11-year-old go to bed. So we've staggered it like that, which is actually a really exhausting evening for mom and dad. But we want to make sure they get enough sleep. And if that means a kind of crazy evening for us, we're willing to deal with that because we want them to get that rest because their bodies need it. My kids are bookworms, so this works for our family to have that prolonged time. My 11 and 13-year-old are very excited to have an hour to an hour and a half of their day dedicated to reading every evening. That's not going to work in all families. I fully understand that. That's just what works for us. And so, in a nutshell, that's our day. If you have questions about rhythms, schedules, let me know. I can make a printable and put it on the blog. I think I may have some of my old ones on there. Like I said, I need to update it. But having this rhythm that they know, okay, we're going to start here, do this, 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 helps them. Now, I have assigned specific times to them. Other than quiet time, they're not aware of the times. They know quiet time is from 2 to 3, but otherwise they are not aware that we only start this by a certain time. That is just for me to know, so that way I can keep us on schedule. If you are not a flighty, follow everything that goes on around you person, you probably don't need to train yourself with alarms. That was not me. I tried that and it did not work well for us. We got very little done. I need the reminders. And now I am grateful I don't need the reminders anymore. That is how our schedules have worked. And I hope that sharing this is kind of giving you a blessing and can help you on your way to figure out how it should look. Keep in mind, be flexible. Every schedule is different. Every person is different. Every family is different. Ours ebbs and flows. That is our basic schedule. Is it going to change? Yes. Is it going to change this week? Of course. It's going to change every day. But there's an event happening. Gardening changes it because we're a big gardening family. When we have an adventure day, it changes it. When we have music lessons, it gets. Just remember, life happens. We're going to have interruptions, and that's okay. When we actually have a schedule and a rhythm that we are used to and that we have gotten a hold of, we are able to better approach those interruptions throughout our day with flexibility and grace. One thing you have to look out for is that schedules can become a master, and trust me, they are wonderful servants, but they are terrible masters. A good schedule or rhythm that you and your family are all aware of will bless your family in a myriad of ways. But if we let it become the master, we will not only ruin relationships, but we will struggle throughout our days. By this, I mean, have your schedule and your timetable, but leave room for your family, for those relationships. If it says math starts at 9, but someone needs some snuggles or someone needs to answer a question, take the time to do that because our home and it's here as a safe haven for our family, and we want to bless those that are with us. So make sure you take that time to build in those moments for grace and flexibility throughout your day so that you can be a blessing to you and your family. I hope that this has helped you in some way, has given you some encouragement for your family. If you could like and subscribe, I would be ever so grateful. And next week, I hope to come back and share a little bit more about our koinonia and really what that is and how it looks for our family and how much it has blessed our family, because I've been very surprised by that. Thank you for watching. Let's go forth and strive to serve our families and the Lord wholeheartedly. Have a great day.